Hi everybody, happy December 13th. Welcome to the 13th whiskey we're going to be having here for the Advent calendar. Today we're going to be having the second and final wheated bourbon on the calendar. It is Larceny Small Batch. Larceny is like I said, it's a wheated bourbon, so it has wheat as its flavor grain, the second, I guess, most abundant grain in the mash bill instead of rye, just like Maker's Mark. And it's distilled and bottled by Heaven Hill. I think that's what it says here. So it says bottled by Old Fitzgerald Distillery, but that's a Heaven Hill distillery. So this is a Heaven Hill product. It's 92 proof, so 46% alcohol by volume, pretty good. I think a starting proof, I like starting between like 86 and 94, maybe up to 100 for my first drink of the night. So this is a pretty good one, pretty easy to drink as well. So a little bit of history and why it's called Larceny. And you could read most of this straight from the bottle, but there was a treasury agent, I think back in the 1800s, by the name of John E. Fitzgerald. And if you look closely at the bottle, you'll see at the top of the label here, it says John E. Fitzgerald, Larceny, and it has some keys. The reason for that and why it's named this and why it has this guy's name on it is because he was a treasury agent who, I guess he had access to different rick houses from different distilleries. He got a little curious, a little greedy, and he would take samples from a lot of these barrels. Like he would find ones he liked, he'd taste a lot of them, and he would basically steal and drink this whiskey, or at least, so the rumor, the legend goes. And he did it so much that he took an affinity to the wheated mash bills, the wheated bourbons, and he would find the really good ones, and he would take those. And so, there's supposedly the really good barrels became known as the Fitzgerald barrels because it was known that this guy was doing this or had done this, down the line. And long story short, distillery gets sold to company, brand gets sold to this person and that person. Eventually, Heaven Hill ends up with the Old Fitzgerald Distillery and the ability to produce and market these Fitzgerald-related bottles, one of which is Larceny. Some of the other ones I'll talk about with you as we go on. But let's open this bad boy up and see how it tastes. Oops. So I've had a couple bottles of this before, and the first bottle of Larceny that I had was really bad. I was pretty disappointed, and I didn't think I would buy another one again for sipping. But there's a store near me that a lot of times has it available for like 17, 16 bucks, which is pretty good for that value, I think. And I was like, okay, I need to go to this like summer get together, and I was gonna make a bunch of like old fashions or something like that. So I was like, okay, I'll just use this. And I got it and didn't end up using it to make the old fashions. Decided to sip it a few months later, and it was pretty good. So I think I might have gotten a bad batch, bad bottle. Not really sure, but I guess we're about to find out. This bottle right here will be the tiebreaker for my opinion of Larceny. So let's give it a taste, give it a smell, give it a taste. Okay, so on the nose, I get like dark notes, like the first thing that comes to mind is like tobacco a little bit, and then maybe like sour leather. I know that sounds weird, but it's just what comes to mind. And I know, like thinking about the makers especially, like that was really like a light florally sort of, smell and taste. It was hard to taste that it was like a wheated bourbon, or at least smell like it was. And this is different. I mean, this smells, again, darker, like it is wheated. I don't really get a lot of like rye spice or anything like that, and I don't get like fruity smells really. Maybe some folks do. There's some sweetness there, but it's hard to categorize it as like, I don't know, fruity for me. But it is almost like, I mean, the wheat I can smell. Like it's like a sweet grass or something like that. Anyway, I'm talking out of my ass. Let's give it a taste. The proof's coming back a little bit, biting me a little bit in the back of the throat, but not too much. It's rich. It doesn't taste, I don't say it tastes less thin than Makers. I don't know that I'm going to say that it's super thin or thick or like viscous or anything like that, but it seems more so like there's more substance to it than the Makers. Don't know that I like it better or worse. Maybe a little bit better than the base Makers. I like it. It's sweet, but it's not like overpoweringly sweet at all. And there is like a darkness, not a bitterness. But it's like some of those darker flavors. Like maybe there is some like darker stone fruits. I don't think like cherry I would go that far. But not super caramely like a lot of bourbons either, although there's a little bit of it on the back end. It's good. I like this one a lot. If you like it too, there's unfortunately a lot less direction for you to go than there was with Makers. So Larceny, this specific brand, they only make... I think under the Larceny label, they only make one other product, and that's Larceny Barrel Proof. So if you are into this and you're into drinking barrel proof, really high ABV booze, then great. You could hopefully find some Larceny Barrel Proof. It looks exactly the same as this, except the label's blue, like a dark blue, and it says Barrel Proof. That's a pretty cool looking label. And like the Elijah Craig products that we talked about before, they come out 3 times a year in 3 different batches, and every batch tastes different. I've not been a fan of the only Larceny Barrel Proof that I've tried. It was okay. But I've had opportunities to buy 2 subsequent batches and I passed it up just because the one experience I had wasn't that good. That is the general consensus too. I mean, it's won some awards, but generally the Larceny Barrel Proof, although it's hard to find, so it's coveted when you do find it, it's not gotten the best reviews. So personally, I'll probably wait a year, let them continue to do this, because Larceny is actually a newer brand. And then I'll probably give Barrel Proof a try again. If you are really lucky, if you win the lottery and you feel like pressing your luck, you might want to go look for a bottle called Old Fitzgerald, which is named after the same guy. They're impossible to find though. I don't know that I've ever seen one. If I have, it was marked up hundreds of dollars beyond what MSRP is, but it is a wheated bourbon from the same mash bill, I believe, from Heaven Hill. It's in a really cool glass decanter, and I think it comes out a couple times a year. I could be wrong about that, but they're always really, really well regarded, but impossible to find. And fairly expensive. I think even at MSRP, they're somewhere between $100 and $200. But it's supposed to be really good. I've never had one, but I would very much like to. And if you want kind of a sneaky way to get a Heaven Hill wheated mash bill, let me look on my bar here. Try to find this guy, Rebel 10, if you can. And it's made by, it's sold by Lux Row Distillers. And there is, standard Rebel and Rebel 100 if you want like an 86, I believe, and then a 100 proof version. But this 10 year in particular, it's a single barrel product at 100 proof. This is really, really good. And the reason I'm bringing it up is that, again, the rumor is that Lux Row sources their whiskey from Heaven Hill. So you'd in effect be drinking the same sort of bourbon that's going into some of those Old Fitzgeralds that I mentioned before, except this is, I think, like $50 or $60. When it comes out in Washington, it's usually, at least this past year, it was pretty well distributed. So there for a couple months you could find it everywhere. Now it's dried up again. Like, I don't know that I've seen one in a while, but keep your eye out for it. It's a really good pour, especially if you like the Larceny stuff. This would probably be my main recommendation for you to go to, the Rebel 10-year single barrel. Okay, well, I think that about does it for Larceny on December 13th. Looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow, and hope you have a good one. Cheers.